left side of this room along with the emergency exit. Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to begin. Please be seated. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the 88th International Relation Rector Series, hosted by the Department of International Relation, Binus University, and the Embassy of Poland in Jakarta. My name is Andini Alifa. I will be the master of ceremony of today's event. I would like to humbly ask everyone to stand up for the national anthem of Indonesia. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated back. I also would like to acknowledge the presence of our speaker today, Her Excellency, Madam Beata Stoczyńska. Welcome, Madam Ambassador. Before we start our seminar, I would like to inform all the participants who attend this seminar via online. First, kindly rename yourself the format of institution _full name _student number for Binusian. Second, during the presentation, online participants are required to turn off the microphone or press the mute button on their respective devices. Third, if participants choose to use the video camera, they are expected to wear modest clothing. Fourth, participants may use the chat box to ask or discuss issues related to the topic being presented. Lastly, questions and conversations submitted must use polite language and should not involve sensitive topics. Without further ado, let us begin the 88th International Relations Lecture Series. Welcoming the Honorable Madam Beata Stoczyńska from Ambassador of Poland in Jakarta, Mr. Piotr Fearless, Deputy Head of Mission of Embassy of Poland in Jakarta, Mr. Lukas Tambunan, Specialist for Political and Economic Affairs of Embassy of Poland in Jakarta, Professor Tirta Mursitama, Vice Rector of Research and Technology Transfer, as well as the Executive Director of Center for Business and Diplomatic Study at Binus University, Jakarta, Dr. Rangga Aditya, Head of Department of International Relations, Binus University, Ms. Paramita Ningrum, Deputy Head of International Relations, Global Class, Binus University, Ms. Dian Novi Krishna, Deputy Head of International Relations, Regular Class, Binus University, the honorable and respected guests, and the student of Department of International Relations, Binus University. Welcome. To start this afternoon event, we are pleased to have here with us our very own Deputy Head of International Relations, Global Class, Ms. Paramita Ningrum, to deliver her opening remarks. Please, Bumita, join us on stage.
Good afternoon, our distinguished guests, Her Excellency, Madam Beata Stoczyńska, Extraordinary Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of Republic of Poland to the Republic of Indonesia, Mr. Lucas Tambunan from Police Embassy Jakarta, our Venusian leaders, Prof. Dr. Tirta Mursitama, Vice Rector of Research and Technology Transfer, Venus University, and also the Executive Director of CBDS, Center of Business and Diplomatic Studies, Venus University, Dr. Dia Wihardini, Director of Venus Global, Venus University, all professors, lecturers, and students from the Department of International Relations, Venus University, and also other universities. Welcome to our 88th International Relations Lecture Series. Today, with a special guest, Madam Beata Stoczyńska, Ambassador of Republic of Poland, Indonesia. Here I am representing our head of department because Dr. Rangga Aditya, because he is on mission with our deans, and I welcome you to this event today, and thank you very much for coming. And IRLS is one of our regular activities to support teaching learning process in our department, and also as a media for the professionals or scholars in IR studies to share their knowledge, experience to the students. And we also had the previous officers from Police Embassy in Jakarta to give a lecture in our IRLS. First is Mr. Piotr, and also Mr. Migler Weghaf, who now in Brussels, as a desk officer for Indonesia and Timor-Leste. So actually, our relation with the Police Embassy is already quite close. Okay, and we also have two courses related to European area. First is European Political Economy of Regional Integration in Europe, and also Contemporary of European Society. And I must say, because I also one of the lectures, Central Eastern European countries is one of the region becomes the favorite topics for our students, for our class discussion, and also for their thesis. So hopefully this event and also some other activities can help them to understand more about this region. Okay, and for those reasons, we hope that this event and other activities would be strengthen our understanding and relation with the Central and Eastern European countries, including Poland. And we also can have another activities that can help us in our teaching learning process in our department and our university. Thank you very much and good afternoon.
Thank you very much, Ms. Paranitangringrum, for the opening remarks. Next, I would like to invite Professor Tirta, Vice Rector of Research and Technology Transfer and Executive Director of Center of Business and Diplomatic Study of Venus University, to deliver the welcoming remarks. Professor Tirta, the floor is yours.
Very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and to our special guest, Her Excellency Beata Stoczyńska, Ambassador of Republic of Poland to Indonesia. Welcome also Mr. Lucas from the Embassy of Poland, and Dr. Dia Wihardini, and our fellow professor here, our deputy deans, Dr. Mita and Dian, and our faculty members, and also the students, our beloved student, right? Even in who present online or in this room. Well, Ambassador, it's a great honor for Venus University to welcome you in this very special occasion, commemorating 1 year of the invasion of Russia to Ukraine, and we are here stand with Ukraine. It's very important for the young generation to know, to understand the real root cause, or maybe the impact, and so far during the 1 year, what is the impact to the invasion, not only for the people in Ukraine, but for the all over Europe, or even all over the world. We have very prominent speakers here, that very authoritative and explaining to us what really happened. And I would like to say a few words before we listen to very excellent and wonderful topic today. Poland is the part of my heart. Why? For two reasons. The first, because with the faculty member from Vilnius University, we visited Poland, Krakow, Lublin, Warsaw, maybe I think less more than 2 times, because the Erasmus supported by the Erasmus Research Grant. I was a visiting professor in Kosminski University. It's one thing. So the attachment with Poland getting closer. Of course, as Indonesian, we visited the embassy and Warsaw as well. And the second thing is more personal, that I always say to all the audience when we talk about Poland, Ukraine, and invasion. My daughter was a third-year student in Grenoble University in France, but she granted the Erasmus Plus to be a student exchange in University of Warsaw International Relations Program. I would like to welcome Dr. Dia. Please, Ibu Dia. And she spent 1 year in Warsaw. And she enjoyed the Warsaw and traveled around the city. And maybe one of the more touching is that I think she fall in love with the Poland guy. Well, and the last thing is that related to this issue, she studied about the gender study. But when he was in University of Warsaw, he enrolled in international relations. So she has been explored with the issues of international relations, and including on that time was that the invasion just started. She said that Warsaw was so quiet, but on that time, many refugees came into the city. And she said that I never witnessed that every building in the Warsaw is full of people that even I cannot speak their languages, but I can saw from their eyes that this war trouble everywhere, every person. So I think based on that situation, then there's occasion that she never told us before, but she did it first. After that, she reported to me. There's a rally down to the street, demonstration that condemn Russia on the time. She said, but she was very happy saying that, I said in bahasa, ayah saya pergi demonstrasi melawan Rusia di Warsaw. So say against Russia, go down to the street and with other people. I said, well, okay, your father was a demonstration, part of the demonstration in 1998, but it is in our country, in Jakarta. But you become a demonstration in other country, No, but I believe what I'm doing is right, because these things are against human rights and against democracy. So students, what I want to say that just, the moral of the story is that whatever you learn, whatever you study as an IR students, you must see, you must understand the phenomena surrounding you, or even in other country or in other part of the world. And then to some point, you find the connection with what you believe in, values, yeah, principles, yeah. Then you get, well, once you get connected, then you feel that, okay, IR is not only in the textbook, but IR is in our blood, everyday life. IR is relevant to our day to day. Okay, put it simple. Now, yeah, Ukraine is exporters of the, I think the flour, the wheat, the biggest exporter, right? And we know that one of the ingredients of raw materials of our one of the favorite foods, instant noodles, is from wheat, right? So if the, to some extent, if the supply chain was shocked or was problem with that, then maybe you will find difficulties to eat instant noodle or Indomie, right? Isn't it? Well, don't be too serious, guys. Well, okay. Well, without further ado, because Dr. Dia, our business global director, is already here. Thank you, Dr. Dia, to make it happen, to facilitate this IRLS. And this is one of our flagship activities because already 88. So I think it's very rare situation or very rare activities that we happen to make it 88 times. Hopefully, I think we will celebrate if until 100 IRLS. Hopefully. While our beloved students, that what we are doing in BINUS is not only teaching, learning in class, but is an example. We will present Her Excellency here, yeah, to give insights to what's really happening today in the world. And I encourage you to ask, to comment anything from the bottom of your heart, and then you will understand. Maybe someday you will be like her as ambassador, right? Yeah, hopefully, yeah. Or maybe everyone in here, maybe one of two, or will be the ambassador of your country and in any activities. I'm not saying always be a diplomat, but maybe in the other roles, but basically your role as a diplomat or ambassador for your country in your chosen activities or chosen uh, maybe job or profession. Well, once again, thank you very much and enjoy the IRLS. I would like to say thank you for the students and all the committee to make it happen, and for the lecturers who present today. Well, thank you very much. Enjoy the IRLS. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Tirta, for your welcoming remarks. Before we begin the main event, I would like to invite Prof. Tirta to the front of the stage to present a token of appreciation for Madam Stoczyńska. To Prof. Tirta and Madam Stoczyńska, please come forward. Okay, I would politely ask for Prof. Tirta and Madam Stoczyńska to stay in front, and I would like to invite all the honorable guests to be okay. Okay, sorry, madam. We would like to stay in front because we want to take group picture with all the honorable guests. So to all the honorable guests, please step forward. Okay, thank you very much for all the honorable guests. Please be seated back to your respected seats. And now, please join me to welcome the Ambassador of Poland in Jakarta, Her Excellency, Madam Beata Stoczyńska, to give her welcoming remarks to commemoration of 1 year of Russian invasion in Ukraine. Your Excellency, the floor is yours.
So first of all, I would like to thank Professor Tirta, Dean Dia, and all friends, professors for inviting me here. It is always such a great pleasure and honor to visit universities in Jakarta. I am in Indonesia already 5 years, and I already visited many universities around the whole country. Just recently, last week, I was in Malang, in Muhammadiyah University, during the graduation event. So I am always so grateful to give me the opportunity to meet students, professors, let's say the university community, because I think that the young people and education, it is something which is going together. And as Professor has mentioned, as we are students of international relations, probably in the future you will be like ambassadors, or you will be working as diplomats in your Indonesian embassies around the world. So you are now already like ambassadors. So it is for me such a pleasure to be here and today to share my thoughts and information about what's going on in Central Europe. Actually, as we all know, we commemorated on Friday the first anniversary of the brutal attack of Russia on the independent democratic country Ukraine. So it was a surprise for everybody, although activities of Russia were visible already since many years when they invaded Crimea. And we expected that probably it will be not the end of the story. But to invade the whole country like independent country, so it was even a surprise, I think, for many politicians. Just last week, President Joe Biden visited, as you probably know, Kyiv. So in the middle of the war, he was not scared to visit this very country, and it was really a big thing, I guess, for not only for Ukraine but the whole international community. And then after visiting Kyiv, he spent 2 days in Warsaw to meet not only with President Duda, but there were also the meeting of the format so-called P9, which means Bucharest Now, and this format, it is 9 countries from the eastern flank of Europe, and the countries are like Poland, Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia, Bulgaria, Romania, Czech Republic, and Slovakia and Hungary. So 9 countries which are a little bit worried what's going on in the region, and the group of the countries, they want to keep together and to try to be more secure, yes, from the what's going on from the Russian side. Actually, I think that when Russia, President Putin decided to attack Ukraine, probably they thought that it will be a shortcut. I mean, it will be short story. Yes, even I remember 24th of February when we were talking at the ambassadors and we had like instructions or information from Warsaw. The expectation was that maybe the war will take, I don't know, 1-2 weeks or so, nobody knew, but we have already 1 year. And I have to say that Ukraine is really so strong in defense, and hold the situation also bring together the world, especially the Western world, to be more integrated and to more cooperative with each. So I think the Russian side, I mean, the Russians probably they didn't expect it such an effect. Yes, that it will the whole situation will strengthen democratic world. Okay, so but now I would like maybe to say a few, as I have, yes, only 2 pages, yes, some maybe more concrete information about the war, and later I am grateful to the university that you will agree to for the embassy proposal to screen the documentary film made by the Polish journalist. And this film is very much focused on a heritage of Ukraine, which was simply destroyed, the heritage buildings, museums, libraries. You will see it's very actually emotional film. When I watched this first time, I was really emotionally touched very much. So the film is in English, but sometimes there are Ukrainian or Polish. So, but no worries. Yes, I mean it is everything is about what a huge destroy is made by Russia towards Ukraine. Also, when we are thinking about the culture and the heritage. Okay, so but let me start that the day 24 February 2022, when Russia launched scale armed aggression against Ukraine, opened a new chapter in the history of Europe and the world. Of course, it is obvious that the situation in Europe is now different than it was like 1 year ago, but I want to stress also that the impact of this very war had it's not only in Europe but in entire world. What Professor has mentioned, when energy crisis, food crisis, finance crisis. We all experience inflation, yes, and not only in Europe, but inflation is spread around the world. Actually, in Poland and in Europe, we call it Putinflation, yes, Putinflation. Okay, and the use by the Russian Federation of its massive military force, sovereignty, territorial integrity, and political independence of Ukraine, as well as Russian war crimes and atrocities toward the people of Ukraine, has diametrically changed the security architecture in Europe and undermined the international legal system accumulated over years. The cost of this war cannot be encapsulated in numbers. Nonetheless, the numbers that we know give an idea of the scale of destruction and suffering. According to the Office of the UN High Commissioner of Human Rights, Ukraine's losses are about 18,000 civilian casualties, including 7,000 killed, and among them nearly 500 are children. Nearly 100,000 Ukrainian soldiers gave their lives in defense of their homeland. The Ukrainian side estimates infrastructure losses at $138 billion. This includes a damage and destruction of thousands of objects, residential buildings, schools, hospitals, culture and heritage institutions. For over the year, the fight for the principles of international order and universal values has been based on Ukrainians' heroism and commitment, supported by multidimensional aid offered by international community. It is the imperative of values that guided Poland to become one of the first countries providing Ukraine with unconditional support. Values has made and engaged in comprehensive assistance on a presidential scale. We will continue our support as long as it takes. Since the outset of the war, Polish priorities have been the following: enhancing our own security. As you maybe know, Poland is a neighbor of Ukraine on our eastern border. Supporting Ukraine's defense capabilities, holding Russia back through cutting it off from income. So we are thinking here about the sanctions against Russia, especially economic sanctions. Providing humanitarian assistance both in Ukraine and for Ukraine refugees in Poland, and Ukraine's European perspective. So we support Ukrainians' desire to be a member of the EU, European Union, which is a very difficult process because each country which wants to be a member of European Union has to follow a lot of regulations, a lot of changes, legal changes, changes in law. There's a very long procedure. But we as Poland and other European Union countries, we support in the future Ukraine membership. So these are the Polish diplomacy objectives. The assistance Poland provides is multidimensional and complex in all domains. It encompasses material aid, including military, political, and humanitarian one. No less important is a purely human support in its moral aspect. We are passing the test of solidarity with flying colors as a state, and as society. So Poland has been helping Ukraine and war refugees since the very beginning of the war. It is a multidimensional aid which can be summarized as three separate models of help. First is directly in Ukraine. The second is helping Ukrainian refugees in Poland. And the third being an international transport hub for transferring international aid through the Polish border to Ukraine. As you maybe know, Poland was very helpful when President Jakowi visited Ukraine in June last year, end of June last year. So President Jakowi traveled from Poland by train, which took 10 hours from Rzeszów to Kyiv. 10 hours train. So every politician like President Biden or presidents of other countries, when they want to visit Ukraine, the only possible way is to go via Poland. And with this very train, which is now very, very famous train, yes, because were used by many very important politicians. According to OECD estimates, in 2022, Poland allocated 8.36 billion euro for humanitarian aid devoted to Ukrainian refugees with an average cost of 5.225 euro per capita, becoming the largest donor for Ukrainian refugees in Europe. Poland accepted the largest number of refugees from Ukraine. According to the UN Human Council data, the number of people from Ukraine with refugee status in Poland exceeded 1.55 million. Of course, there's much more people who are crossing every day the border, Ukrainian-Polish border. So since the beginning of the war, around 16 million Ukrainians cross the border, but of course, many of them, they return to Ukraine. They are not staying in Poland because sometimes there are families which are not wanted to be divided from the family members. They have old parents or husbands. So sometimes the part of the family is coming to Poland, but then they decide after 1-2 months to come back to Ukraine. But for whole 1 year, it was like 16 million people crossing the border. The scale of 77% of Poles have been engaged in assisting refugees to a greater or lesser extent. As much as 12% Poles invited refugees to their own homes. Because in Poland, we don't have like a refugee camps. Yes, we don't have refugee camps. If you want to invite refugees or people in need, you simply have to invite them to your house. But of course, not only private people invited Ukrainians to their homes, but it was the whole system run by the government and local governments. So there were like hotels open at hotels like refugee centers. Yes, of course, without no paying, yes, free of charge, like hotels for Ukrainians or the help centers. So also the Polish Catholic Church was very much helpful. So many institutions were involved. By enormous effort and commitment of our institutions and society, Poland provides for every Ukrainian care and support. Ukrainians can use public health care services, education system, and public benefits on an equal footing with Polish citizens. So Ukrainians, when they're coming to Poland, they are entitled to apply for the so-called ID national number. If you have this ID national number, you are like Polish. It is not citizenship, but you have rights like a citizenship, yes? And this law was introduced for 1.5 years. So it's already 1 year. We have still half a year. So, but nobody knows how long the war will take. So probably this law will be extended. Poland is helping the health care sector, as well as internally displaced Ukrainians by building temporary modular towns. But this is just very recently, the idea came with this modular towns for 20,000 people at an estimated cost of over 70 million dollars. Poland is a humanitarian hub and the main logistic center for in-kind and humanitarian aid sent to Ukraine from all over the world. The European Union decided to set up a new Rescue EU Energy Hub in Poland to facilitate the transport, warehousing, and delivery of energy equipment to Ukraine. Actually, the inauguration of the hub took place on 26 January 2023, just recently. In order to involve the international community in providing assistance to Ukraine, Poland and Sweden organized a high-level conference already in May 2022 in Warsaw. The value of the declared funds is approximately $6 billion, of which Poland declared $3.7 billion, and these declarations are implemented on an ongoing basis. So it's still collected and sent to Ukraine. So this is more or less some data and some information, but I want to stress that Poland and Indonesia are such a good friends since 1955 when we signed diplomatic relations. So it's already 68 years. And we have excellent cooperation on a bilateral base, but also on a global and multilateral agenda, especially in the frame of the UN system. And we are very grateful, Poland is very grateful, and I think Ukraine as well, that Indonesia supported all 3 Ukrainian resolutions taken by General Assembly of the UN since February 2022. So 2 resolutions last year and 1 resolution which was just adopted 21st of February, so last week, demanding Russia to immediately and unconditionally withdraw its troops from Ukraine. So I'm really very grateful that the Indonesia government understands the need of support of Ukraine yes. So this is really big thing. So I think more or less it's what I wanted to say. Maybe after the screening of the documentary, it would be possible to have some maybe questions from you. So I will be more than happy to answer. So, but maybe now we will watch the documentary screening, Erase the Nation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your welcoming remarks, Madam Stoczyńska. Now I would like to invite Your Excellency and Bumita as the moderator to the front of the stage to talk about the topic.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. So now we can start to the next part, as a movie screening, and together we will see and learn more about how the conflict, how this issue has such a big impact to every aspect of human life. And now we can start the film.
The city of Izium in the Kharkiv region has become an emblem of Russian barbarism in Ukraine. Russian forces decimated this town. After Izium's liberation, the bodies of hundreds of innocent people were found here in mass graves. My name is Tomasz Grzywaczewski. I am a war journalist, and I have been documenting Russian atrocities since the very beginning of the invasion. Russian troops have committed genocide on both Ukrainian people and Ukrainian culture. Putin's in Ukraine. Russian forces decimated this town. After Izium's liberation, the bodies of hundreds of innocent people were found here in mass graves. My name is Tomasz Grzywaczewski. I am a war journalist, and I have been documenting Russian atrocities since the very beginning of the invasion. Russian troops have committed genocide on both Ukrainian people and Ukrainian culture. Putin's actions show a striking similarity to the actions of other dictators, such as Hitler or Stalin, who tried to deprive occupied countries of their national identity by erasing their cultures. Every day, priceless monuments, sacred churches, museums, and archaeological sites of unique importance to the history of not only Ukraine, but the entire multicultural region of Central Europe are threatened by Russian invaders, so that they can rewrite history in the name of the chauvinist ideology of Great Russia. We will travel across Ukraine from east to west, showing some examples of the enormity of this destruction. Our journey starts with a temple in the village of Bohorodichnaya in the Donetsk region, which was destroyed during the enemy shelling. This is an example of how Russians treat sacred religious buildings. Kharkiv is one of the cities that has suffered the most from the Russian invasion. I am meeting Roman Kravchenko in one of the districts of the town that endured heavy shelling until very recently. Roman was an archaeologist for years. Now he is a member of the city council responsible for the protection of the historical and cultural heritage of Kharkiv.
Ось пам'ятник, і якраз цей пам'ятник – це такий показовий момент. За підтримки наших польських друзів місто Харків отримало велику кількість мішків, вони були наповнені піском. Ну і ось зроблені такі, хоч і доволі примітивні, але дієві конструкції, які зберігають пам'ятники нашого міста від ворожих обстрілів.
Why this monument is so important for people of Kharkiv?
Це пам'ятник Україні. Такий узагальнений образ України, України-переможниці, України, яка бореться і перемагає. Ну, в народі інколи називають Україна Ніка, як в античній міфології була така богиня перемоги Ніка. Поруч знаходиться з цією церквою, знаходиться Харківська міська рада. Ось. А от тут, оце я тут працюю, власне. Це такий адміністративний центр Харкова. А поруч знаходиться будинок, який зараз називається будинок праці. Це готель, який був збудований на початку ХХ століття і мав назву «Росія». Там руйнування взагалі катастрофічне. Ракета вдарила в дах цього приміщення. І от все вилетіло. Ця вулиця була завалена шматками якимись там скла, найрізноманітнішими речами, які тут повилітали, там, ну все, що завгодно. Це воно тут все так прямо валялось. Ну, потім, звичайно, все це було прибрано. Ну, але в якийсь момент це була просто, ну як вам сказати, це був якийсь апокаліпсис такий просто, розумієте? От на це заходиш, так дивишся, куди я потрапив. Це центр Харкова, розумієте? Це центр Харкова, який завжди тут був чистенький, який завжди все було акуратно, все було, ну... І, звичайно, те, що тут було, ну...
The Russians have also been targeting academic institutions. Director of the Central Scientific Library of Kharkiv University, Irina Zhuravlyova, shows the damage caused by Russian shelling.
Вот этот снаряд, вот он вылетел как-то из окна, вот это вот когда шли уламки снаряда, вот оно попадало. Ну, тобто тут везде було скло, все було засипано склом. Бачите, обережно, тому що, бачите, ще залишилося вот эти вот таке дуже таке маленьке скло. Це така гуманітарна допомога, яку ми отримали з Варшави. З Варшави це протипожежні такі коци, які допомагають зберегти книги. Ну, тому закриваємо книги для їх збереження.
I am now back with Roman, where the front line used to be only a few weeks ago. He is delivering fire extinguishers provided by Poland to the museum in his hometown of Peczenice. The Polish government has donated over 1 million euros for the protection of Ukraine's monuments. The main coordinator of government aid for the cultural sector in Ukraine is the Polish Support Center for Culture in Ukraine that has already made 25 deliveries of targeted material support. Over 800 pallets of materials for both collections protection and fire extinguishing have been delivered to 111 cultural institutions. Through the National Institute of Cultural Heritage, Ukraine also receives aid prepared in cooperation with 13 international partners, for example from Finland, Sweden, Hungary, France and Spain.
Ще раз добрий день. Добрий день. А ми зайти зможемо чи ні?
Конечно.
О, так тоді взагалі.
Мін нема.
Мít нема, mít нема.
Саперів не було тут? Чи були?
Кого?
Сапери.
Були.
Були?
Та вони он в хату прилетіло. Прямо. Лежу, а це міна. В комнату.
В цьому музеї, в цьому місці, в Верхньому Салтові, тут я приймав участь у скупках майже 20 років. Тут минула моя молодість, дуже багато сил було потрачено для того, щоб поповнити експозицію цього музею різними цінними науковими експонатами. О, я тут був мільйон разів.
Не знають. А було красиво.
Це був зал етнографії. Тут народні інструменти різноманітні. Все, що стосується життя українців 18, 19, початку 20 століття.
Во.
Ой-ой-ой.
Знімай.
Експозиція, де представлені археологи, які працювали на цьому могильнику. Бачите, в катакомбі посередині. Це я молодий ще. Ванька Белько, Шрамко і Діма Шаповал з Волчанська, який погиб в війну. Оцей хлопець. Оцей хлопець.
А з Волчанська ж то знаю.
Когда? Сейчас?
Ну, влітку. Зеркало, зеркало.
Та хай лежить. Потім приберу. А тут риба
Та
така
не
була.
трогайте,
Та я
не
про рибу.
трогайте.
Та я ж сам його клеїв. Оце ж кожну бірочку делав. Видиш, кожну бірочку клеїв.
Це панцирні пластинки. Вони просто унікальні. Не трогайте тут нічого, я вас дуже прошу. Не згрібайте, не змітайте. Може, колись приїдемо, нормально це все зробимо. Я не можу на це дивитися.
В общем, я його беру і сахарю. Хорошо?
Двадцать лет жизни, блядь, 20 лет.
Для нас Григорій Сковорода – це настільки потужна постать. Григорій Сковорода ввійшов в українську культуру як педагог-новатор. Це елітарний філософ. Філософ, який учив найвищого, найкращого, найвищих духовних якостей людини. І у нашому музеї розгорнута експозиція якраз про все це і розповідала. Ідемо дивитися. От бачите, висять і досі речі з нашої експозиції. У нас красива була експозиція, багата. Я ж іще хочу все рівно сказати про те, що ворог руйнує найважливіші об'єкти. І тому в музей Сковороди, як велич нашого духу, іще раз підтвердило, що влучання було цілеспрямованим, щоб знищити ідентичність нашої нації. Відповідно, з півночі і прилетіла ця ракета, і влучила. І відповідно від отого запасу палива і спалахнуло тут усе. Вогонь підіймався високо-високо. Дах був зірваний, бачите, він і досі не позніманий. Палали перекриття, все впало. Тут було просто пекло. Але в цьому пеклі вистояв пам'ятник Григорію Сковороді, що дуже важливо і знаково. Самі бачите, що від прямого влучання стіни, які будувалися на віки, не зруйнувалися, тільки трішечки пошкоджені. І не можна говорити, що наш музей знищений. Він зруйнований. Але він живе, до нього їдуть люди, до нього потужний інтерес.
What did you feel when you realized that the museum was burning down?
Передати зразу просто неможливо. Просто неможливо. Тому що мозок не сприймає того, що сталося. Як, власне, це йде і з самого 24 лютого. Я ніяк не можу осягнути, зрозуміти. Боятися не боюся. За сина боюся. Він теж десь тримає оборону, звільняє Україну. І свідчить про те, що ми все рівно в цій війні переможемо.
The city of Chernihiv was under siege for weeks. As a result of Russian assaults, priceless Orthodox churches that are part of the ancient Chernihiv Historical Reserve, placed on the UNESCO tentative list, have been damaged. However, the greatest destruction was suffered by the neo-Gothic Central City Library. Tatiana Shishova, who works here, vividly recalls brutal Russian artillery shelling and airstrikes against civilians in the entire city.
Це одна з воронок, яка була біля нашої бібліотеки. Одна тут, одна трішечки далі, там, де наш гараж. І друга впала на проїжджу частину біля нашої бібліотеки. Тобто літак просто скидав на нашу будівлю 3 бомби. Це наше книгосховище було. Дах впав і тримається на дерев'яних стелажах. Завдяки цьому ми змогли повитягати всі книжки, які там були, перед тим, як впала друга стіна. І ми їх врятували. Вони були в дуже хорошому стані. Ця будівля, до речі, збудована у кінці 19 століття. Вона старовинна. Як ви бачите, вона зведена у неоготичному стилі. Ось на цьому місці, до речі, це вікно було автентичним. Тобто з кінця 19 століття воно тут стояло. Всі інші були змінені в радянські часи, але ось і воно було потрощено. Ми його так і не знайшли, шматки від нього. Ми дуже сподіваємося, що ця бібліотека відновиться і діти знову будуть отримувати користь. Отримувати те багатство, яке збирали наші предки, і примножувати його, передавати далі своїм дітям. Для цього ми і працюємо.
Do you maybe know why Russians decided to attack this building? It seems totally pointless because, of course, library has no any military importance.
Росіяни заявляли, що у цьому приміщенні перебували наші військові. Але це не так. Тут нікого не було, воно було зачинене. воно було на сигналізації. І тут зовсім не було місця, тут все було заставлене стелажами. Це абсурд, що тут були військові. Вони хочуть вбити нас і щоб ми перестали існувати. Вибачте.
When Russian rockets destroyed the library, Tatiana had no idea that this was just the beginning of the nightmare that the Russians had prepared for her and her family.
Люди тут стояли, чекали, і снаряд прилетів. Люди чекали, що привезуть сюди хліб, у ці ворота. Ми почули з мамою серію вибухів, і наш будинок хитнуло. Ми живемо трохи далі. І прибіг сусід і покликав мого брата. Вони схопили щось, щоб перетягувати рани. І потім я побігла, бо їх давно не було. І тут лежали багато мертвих людей. А там лежав мертвий батько. І приїхала швидка, забирала поранених. А батька вже не можна було забирати, бо вже було пізно. А потім приїхала машина з моргу і всіх людей вантажили мертвих. І мій брат допомагав, а на мого батька не вистачило місця. І тоді мій брат взяв і побіг, забрав у гаражі машину, і на гаражі ми завантажили батька. Я боялася, щоб від нього нічого не відвалилося, але все трималося на одязі. І брат відвіз його, я повернулася і збирала все, що випало з батька, шматки його. І там поховала. І тут лежали шматки людей.
I'm meeting Yuri Veres, whose greatest passion is music. In the past, he and his band Kamyanigist liked to play for the normal citizens, while today mostly for soldiers. In Yuri's family, artistic talents have been passed down from generation to generation. His grandmother, Hanna Veres, was a folk artist whose traditional woven towels were of exceptional value to Ukrainian culture. Most of them were burned down in the Russian bombing at the beginning of the war.
Я дуже пишаюся своєю бабусею. Вона дійсно велика молодець, оскільки вона досягла всього сама. Ця нестримна жага до творчості, коли вона ночами сиділа, ткала, а вдень копала картоплю. Тобто вона була звичайною простою людиною. Це бабуся в молодості, коли вона була молодою. Це мій тато, це дідусь. І це я. Самі рушники, можете подивитися, це повністю ручна робота на дерев'яному ткацькому станку. У неї був неповторний стиль, її не могли повторити, там є такі градієнти. Такі речі робляться виключно з любов'ю. Тобто людина сідає, це натхнення. І бачите, коли приходять війська російські, вони першим ділом, що вони роблять, вони знищують нашу культуру. Культуру, мистецтво наше, все, що пов'язане, щоб взагалі, це справжній геноцид. До речі, був дуже класний музей, тут було багато різних експонатів, таких древніх. Воно все ж погоріло. Добрий день вам.
Добрий день.
Добрий день.
Вітаю. А ви не пам'ятаєте так, де роботи бабусі приблизно, в якій частині музею?
Пам'ятаємо, в тій частині.
В тій? Оце тут, так? Ага.
В цьому великому залі вони були. І отак по ту стінку, оту, якраз де снаряд попав, отак вони там стояли по ту стінку, бабусині вироби. Ну вони були, знаєш, усі закриті, під склом усі були. Бо я прибігла, хотіла ці двері ще відкрити, ну тут уже воно теж палало, подойти до дверей не можна було, бо падало туди, пластик падав, обгорати. Я теж бігала, наче ну, така сфільована, наче трошки не собі, і бачила безпомощність, що я не можу нічого зробити. От уявляєте, я бачу, що горить музей, що скільки цінностей, скільки ми збирали, плачу. Нема військових об'єктів, ніяких, не заводів немає, нічого, не військові частини не стоять. У нас один музей, чим славиться наш край, був це картини Марії Примаченко, бо вона як постать, Ганна Іванівна Верес, ткацтво наше. І взагалі у музеї була зібрана вся історія нашого краю, покоління нашого. Знищують вони, дивіться, не тільки наш музей, музей Сковороди, і у Маріуполі музеї, і театри знищують, бібліотеки знищують, все знищують, музичні школи знищують. Оце таке. Війна закінчиться рано чи пізно. А те, що зараз робить культура, воно залишиться на віки.
Так, так.
Оце ці її спогади, оце ці, хто пише вірші, хто пише пісні, картини, хто зараз малює у війну, воно все залишиться.
In Lviv, in western Ukraine, all the monuments have survived to date. Conservator restorers and volunteers, such as Anna Kudzia and Alexei Wozinski, have not been intimidated by constant air raid alerts, missile attacks on energy infrastructures and blackouts. They continue their work to preserve the multicultural heritage of this city.
Znajdujemy się w tej chwili w samym sercu Lwowa, na Starym Mieście, zaraz koło Katedry Łacińskiej i koło ratusza. Prowadzimy tutaj prace konserwatorskie przy jednym z najstarszych renesansowych obiektów rzeźbiarskich tego typu w mieście. To jest obiekt z pierwszej połowy XVI wieku. Pomimo tego, że wojna się zaczęła, dzięki właśnie finansowaniu z Instytutu Polonika i z Ministerstwa Kultury z Polski możemy te prace kontynuować i pomimo tego, że codziennie tutaj na Starym Mieście odbywają się właśnie pogrzeby żołnierzy, na ten czas zawsze przerywamy pracę i razem tutaj ze wszystkimi właśnie mieszkańcami, którzy uczestniczą w takim pogrzebie, oddajemy po prostu cześć właśnie takiemu żołnierzowi.
Od wielu lat zajmujemy się ratowaniem i, co ważne tu wskazać, wspólnego dziedzictwa, bo zawsze wykorzystujemy ten termin, dlatego żeby zrozumieć, że to nie jest wyłącznie czyjeś, tylko że należy do nas wszystkich i wszyscy jesteśmy odpowiedzialni za jego zachowanie.
Before the war, there were over 5,000 museums, 65 historical and cultural reserves, and approximately 170,000 monuments in Ukraine, including 7 UNESCO World Heritage Sites. No one can tell how many of them will survive the Russian invasion. However, thousands of people from Ukraine and abroad are working hard on preserving our common heritage. Hopefully soon the work will change from preservation to the restoration of all cultural objects which fell victim to Russian invaders.
Okay, we have seen this movie. It's quite emotional, isn't it? And we also can see the object which become the attack is very strategic. They ruin all most museums and education institute. And I think that is also related to, but that's why they put the title Erase the Nation, because all those museums, cultural institutes and schools really reflects on how the nations and society is established and developed. So I think that we can see from this movie. And now I will start the next part of our discussion, the question and answer session. So if anybody would like to ask questions, and I will open for the first term. 1, 2, one more. No? Okay, so maybe we can start from the first 2 questions. This one. Please mention your name and also raise your questions briefly.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Ambassador, and allow me to introduce myself. My name is Matthew Tanubrata. Currently, I'm a second-year student of International Relations at Binus University. As we know that NATO and Russia are adversaries from a long time ago. And if Russia lose or defeated, then NATO's influence will remain in Ukraine. What is the best course of action for Russia to take and the neighboring countries? And what will happen to Russia and President Putin after the war is ended? Thank you.
Okay. The next questions or next student.
Thank you, Excellency Stoczyński and Ms. Paramita Niru. My name is Rainer, and I'm also the second year undergraduate students in international relations programs in Binus University. I have one question. As we already know, Poland is the key factors in the middle of this Ukraine and Russia war. Is it possible that this might be the strategy that when we also know Poland have tight relations with Ukraine by the open borders with the people, the biggest donor for Ukraine, is it possible that that might be their strategy to attract directly Russia to Poland? So Russia at the end will succeed to face NATO directly, that will impact about the Article 5 of NATO. That is my questions. Thank you.
So thank you very much for those 2 questions. Actually, I would love to answer for your first question, but I think there is no really expert who can answer for that. What will happen? As I said at my welcoming remarks, when the war started 1 year ago, with all the community thought that it will be maybe a few days, 1 week, and that it is maybe like, you know, the attack, and then they will withdraw or something. But it looks now that it is like a regular war, and the end. Nobody sees the end of this war. Many, let's say, countries, even recently China, tried to help to start like peace talks or some kind of the negotiations, but this is extremely difficult, because as I understand, for Ukraine, the red line for Ukraine to start to talk is that Russian army will withdraw from its territory, and they will simply and allow Ukraine to be an independent country. So this is the red line, and it is like a little bit difficult because as we understand, Russia doesn't agree for this very basic condition. Yes, so it is extremely difficult, really, even to start the talks. Yes, and of course we are living in the world with, of course, with, let's say, different blocks. Yes, there is East, West, there is NATO, there is China, there are United States, also Southeast Asia. So, and each big player has its, like it is in the world. Yes, you are students of the foreign relations. Each power has its own interest. Yes. So this is a little bit like, unfortunately, like a political diplomatic game. Yes. So so it will be not very easy, because although it is like a war in Ukraine caused by Russia, but the effect and impact is also for the US-China relations, as we know. So it is, this is the broad picture, yes? And I think that me as a diplomat and you as students of international relations and future diplomats, our job is to, I usually to say, what is diplomacy? What is my main job? My main job is simply to support peace, to bring peace, to try to create the conditions for country to live in a peaceful environment. So this is our job. Yes, and sometimes you can't do it. Yes. Of course, there are countries like France or Germany trying to talk to Mr. Putin, President Putin, but no really results. Yes, I mean no really results. Nobody knows whether he will stay forever, Putin, or he will be maybe killed. I don't know, or maybe he will die, and then there will come the new government, and maybe they will finish the war. Difficult to say. There are different scenarios, but when you watch BBC or CNN or other, experts, and there are so many scenarios, but not really. I mean, nobody knows, unfortunately. So we have to observe, and I mean, but it looks like more or less it will be long-standing crisis, conflict, and I think it is in favor of Russia to keep it as long as possible, to like a frozen war, just and for Ukraine is terrible situation, because they can't develop like a normal country. They can't educate the younger generation. This movie, this documentary was very much focused on the heritage, cultural institutions. It doesn't show the whole picture of the war. About the it was like only a part of the story. Yes, because we wanted to show how important is to deserve to protect heritage. You in Indonesia, you know how important it is. Yes, because I'm traveling a lot around Indonesia and visiting provinces, and I always respect, and I'm really happy to observe how diverse culturally is Indonesia, and how you here in Indonesia, you are proud of this. Yes, to show us, I don't know, different dances, different food, different batik designs, because this is your heritage. Yes, and every country has its own heritage, and it's very much proud of that. Also Ukraine, you saw the Russian completely destroyed libraries, books, textiles. Yes, so it is so sad, because actually to rebuild now the Ukraine, it's such a huge amount of money, and I mean, of course, the United States, European Union, we will help them. Yes, we will help them. But the question is, what for is this war? It's terrible, because Russia, as we know, Russia is the biggest country in the world. Yes, they have such a huge land already. such a huge land. I mean, and what for they want to keep other countries? It's for us. I mean, it's always better to focus to develop countries, to improve the living standard of the people. Because when you visit Russia, I never been actually. I never been. I mean, Poland is quite close to Russia or before Soviet Union, but I never visited Soviet Union or Russia. I will say you why. Because when I grew up in a small town in western of Poland, and we had on the western border with Germany and Poland, there were Russian, Soviet at the time, Soviet Union armies across the border, yes, to keep security, yes, between east and west. So in my town, there were a lot of Soviet Union soldiers, and it was so strange for me as a child, yes, I mean, to see soldiers from different country. I mean, they feel like at home. It was not occupation really, but nevertheless, they had they were with the families, with children. They had own shops. They had schools in my town. Yes. So when I was child, I said to myself, "Oh my God, I don't want to touch it. Yes, I don't want to visit even this country like Soviet Union or Russia." And to see what is this, because I didn't like it as a child. Yes, so I never been in this country, but I don't really understand the attitudes of the government, because I mean, more or less, of course, Russian people are, you know, like people. We have fantastic Russian literature, music, and a lot of culture of Russia we all know about. Yes, but the government of Russia has very imperial desire. Yes, I don't know. As I said, the biggest country in the world, and they still want another country. Yes, what for?
We have two questions from the participant in the Zoom. I don't know. Are here? One from Aska and the other one from Georgios. Is are Aska and Georgios there? Or perhaps I just read their questions. Aska in Zoom. Okay, maybe I just. Okay, the questions is from Aska. How is the relationship between the Russian government and Poland after 1 year of war? And is there any expected resolution of the conflict from the Polish government to Russia? And the second question from Georgius, our BINUS student. He asks whether Poland will resume a normal relation with Russia once the invasion is over. Do you think the relation will ever be the same like before the invasion? Thank you.
Yeah, very interesting question. So the relations between Poland and Russia was never easy. Yes, never easy. And you know how it is. It is like neighborhood. Yes, sometimes we have great relations with somebody who is far. Like we have fantastic relations with Indonesia, for instance. Yes. But it's difficult to have really good and peaceful relations with your close neighbor. Yes, so this is also this case. Yes, as you maybe know, the Polish history was very tragic and full of drama. Poland has a very difficult geopolitical location, let's say. We are like a sandwich country between Russia and Germany, which is also maybe not the easiest neighbor. Of course, we are now in the European Union, so it's completely different, and we cooperate fantastic. But in the history, yes, in the past, it was difficult. So two big powers and Poland between, yes, it was always very difficult for us to manage this situation. For instance, Poland in 18th and 19th century, for 123 years it was a partition of Poland between three powers: Russia, Germany, and Austria at that time. And Poland for whole this period of 123 years was not on the map of Europe. Yes, we disappeared from the map. But because our let's say strong people, mostly because of the strong people and the strong thinking about the Poland, in 1918 Poland regained independence again. And of course the Second World War, of course we were attacked. Poland was attacked by Germany 1st of September 1939, but 17th of September 1939 Russia joined Germany and attacked us. So we were, during the Second World War, we were attacked from the east and from the west. So, but Poland, after the Second World War, it was not the end of our problems, because after the Second World War, the world was, let's say, divided. It was a Cold War in Europe. So, and Poland was under the Soviet Union, let's say, in influence. Unfortunately, yes, unfortunately. So almost for 50 years, we were like a communist country. And I want to say that Polish citizens never ever agreed with that. So our government, let's say, was communist and was collaborating with Soviet Union very closely. But the simple Polish people never agreed with that. So this is why the opposition in Poland was very strong. And finally, in 1989, we became, when the Solidarity movement came, later on the collapse of the Berlin Wall came, so the end collapse of the communist system gave us the start of the democratic system in Poland. It was 1989, in Indonesia 1998. So I always used to say when I talk about our relations that our history is a little bit like similar, yes? That we want freedom, we want to be independent. So we are similar in many ways, Poland and Indonesia. So, but since 1989, when Poland became an independent, democratic country, with the democratic institutions, democratic system, we try to build as good as possible relations with our neighbors, especially with Russia. Really, it was exchange of the visit, many common or joint committees working together, because we simply want to have a good as possible relations. Also the people-to-people exchange, cultural exchange, education. So we wanted to be always very close friend of our neighbor. But Russia is not easy partner, because they have different, like they look for the countries from their own perspective, like the big imperial country, yes. So they don't really respect smaller country or a neighborhood country. They don't want to understand our position, our point of view. So it was difficult. But we had let's say many visits, so it was okay before the war, let's say, more or less. But now the question was about how it looks now. Now we still keep diplomatic relations with Russia. The Russian diplomats and ambassador of Russia still in Warsaw, like our ambassador and our embassy is still in Moscow. We have also consulates around Russia as well. So we keep diplomatic channel. We don't want to just cut to broke our relations. So we keep the diplomatic channels, and we are always open. I mean, Poland, what we want is peaceful life, and to create good conditions for our people to develop. So this is our policy. This is what we want. Yes. We don't have any aspirations to go to other country and to grab land or something. This is obvious. Yes. Russia has different as a big country. It's in own mind. They have different priorities. And we hope that if of course, but what is maybe positive in this whole situation is that Poland for many years tried to explain other countries in the world what is Russian attitude, what is Russian way of thinking. And usually we were really not really understood what we were thinking about. So other countries called us like maybe anti-Russian or something. And but we try to explain what is Russia. For instance, energy resources. What Russia wants is to depend other countries from their own Russian energy resources, oil and gas. And what Poland used to say 10 years ago, 15 years ago, in the European Union meetings and other meetings in Europe, that Europe should not depend only from Russian sources. And countries were, oh, this is they have a lot of this oil and gas, so we buy from them and that's it. But we always try to them explain that diversification of these resources is very important, not only to depend on one country. And what we now know, what we have now, the turn of the gas, the oil, all this energy sources, and many countries, even Germany, is in trouble. Yes, but so positive way is that now countries in Europe and in the world understand what is the way of thinking of the government of this country. So, but of course, we would like to have in the future as good as possible relations. But it's difficult to say what will be, what kind of Russia it will be after the war. So this is the question. What will be, because it's 1 year war, the international community is already seeing what it means. So it will be probably difficult to come. To came back as usually business. Let's do business. It will be not business as usual. It is a question what Russia want to be after the war, and how the geopolitical stand will be look like. Yeah, so difficult to say.
Okay, we also have one other question from Zoom, Madam Ambassador. It's from Dimas. He asks about what is Poland's motivation to join NATO and EU in the first place? And do you think it's the best option for Ukraine to join EU or NATO too? Thank you.
I like this question. Yes, when Poland became a democratic countries, as I said before, 1989, after the 50 years of communism, so we tried as a government to have priorities. For us, priority was how to be a secure country, and if you want to improve your security, you need to cooperate with partners. Yes. And for us, the only option was the Western countries. After 50 years, we never, as I said, we never accepted the, let's say, communist system in Poland, and we wanted to be completely independent and from the system of the of Russia and the Eastern system. So for us, priority became very clearly first to become a member of NATO, to cooperate with the Western world, and to be secure, simply because, as one of you mentioned, the 5th paragraph of the NATO declaration is if there is one country which has problem with the attack of third country, so the NATO is like an advocate, and it's ready to help and to secure attacked country. So we wanted very much to be in NATO. So so we became independent 1989, and then 1999 we were already a member of NATO. So it took us how many years? Like 10 years. It took us 10 years to become a NATO member, and we became the European Union member 2004. So it was like 15 years long negotiations. It was not easy for us to become a European Union member, because we had to improve our economy, we had to improve our legal system, everything. Procedures are so complicated to be a member of the European Union. So difficult, but it took us 15 years to become. So this, it was our basic priorities, political, economic priorities, to become NATO member and EU member. And but talking about the political priorities of Ukraine, because Ukraine also wants to be a member of NATO, to be a member of European Union, and from my point of view, I understand this. I understand their priorities. Why? Because of course Russia would like to have Ukraine under their own, let's say, umbrella, in their let's say, yes, closer to Russia, to be closer to Russia, yes. But what Russia can offer Ukraine? What Russia is able to offer Ukraine? Corruption, poorness. Because if you visit Russia, Moscow, St. Petersburg, beautiful cities, beautiful, rich, fantastic cities. But the rest of Russia, it's only poor people. This is this huge country, yes. Those two cities, fantastic, but the rest, it's really problems, undeveloped, no good infrastructure. So what Russia can offer Ukraine? What European Union can offer Ukraine is funds for infrastructure improvement, like for Poland. Poland, if you visited Poland in 90s, it was completely different country than it is now. It's developed, fantastic infrastructure, a lot of businesses, good governance, everything. Yes, so with the support of the European Union, and this is what Europe can offer Ukraine. So how I can be surprised or can't really support their desire to be member of the European Union.
Okay, I think here still a lot of students would like to ask questions, but we have time limitation here. But we must say that we are happy to have you here to share with us, and we also love to hear your story about Poland and also CEC countries in general. And hopefully we can have this kind of opportunity again in the future, and to listen about the continuation of this story and other stories about as well. So I must close this session. So again, thank you very much, Madam Ambassador. Okay. And so this is the last part, and I also being informed, but there will be another photo session. Yeah. Okay. 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 Sure. Thank you.
Hey, do you want to take the photo station now or after the closing? Right now? Okay. Okay, so we will have another photo session that will be led by Okay, thank you very much, Her Excellency and Bhumita, for the materials. As we are about to end today's event, I would like to thank all the honorable guests and students for attending the 88th International Relation Rector Series, commemoration of 1 year of Russian invasion in Ukraine. I would like to give a special thank to Her Excellency, Madam Beata Stoczyńska, for her insights on the important issue. And lastly, I would like to remind all Binusian students to scan the QR code to claim your SAT point. My name is Andini Alifa. Thank you for your time, and I hope to see you all in the next event. Thank you so much and goodbye.
Verifikasinya akan dilakukan oleh Mas Aat lewat Binus Maya. Jadi yang tadi ngisi Google Form ya, kalian harus ngisi Google Form. Kehadiran kalian nanti akan diverifikasi lewat Google Form. Oke, itu kehadirannya. Ini exit ticket untuk SAT ya, poin SAT. Silahkan di scan bagi yang join di link Zoom.